Hey, this is Joe from Citrus County Porch Life, coming to you with the AA Word of the Day for October 18th, 2024. And the word is open mind. And it's a very short quote. True humility and an open mind can lead us to faith. And that is from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions of AA, page 33. My alcoholic thinking led me to believe that I could control my drinking, but I couldn't. When I came to AA, I realized that God was speaking to me through my group. My mind was open just enough to know that I needed His help. A real, honest acceptance of AA took more time, but with it came humility. I know how insane I was. I am extremely grateful to have my sanity restored to me and to be a sober alcoholic. The new sober me is a much better person than I ever could have been without AA. So do I have my pen? Yes. So, let's see. If this were an encyclopedia, my picture would be on this little daily reflection, because that's exactly how I was. I wanted to control my drinking. I did every kind of thing that you hear about in meetings. I switched. I used to like Southern Comfort and unsweetened grapefruit juice. I don't know anyone else that drank it like that, but I liked it. So I switched. I bought really cheap Rock Gut whiskey. But my problem was that, unbeknownst to me, I had blackouts. I thought I passed out because I couldn't remember anything. I thought maybe I was sitting in a chair and just passed out. But no, I had true blackouts. And that kind of scared me. I wasn't driving. A lot of my drinking I did at home, and some of the places were close by, and I'd either get a cab or take a bus. I lived in the inner city at that time, and so I kept switching, and the least ruinous to my psyche was beer. I mean, it didn't contain as much alcohol, so I figured, well, that's good for me. But I just drank tremendous amounts of beer. A case. Let's start with a case. But what I did, I can remember this is before I got sober. I had an old 8088 computer, with the two floppies, and I made a list of everything I did every day to show that I wasn't one of those drunks who couldn't do anything. Pictures of the Bowery, or people passed out. Even though I was at times passed out, I did that. I had a list of future projects, and this was all in justification that I wasn't like anyone else. I was unique. And my side hustle to this was exploring ways of drinking safely, of not getting the side effects, not having cirrhosis. Maybe because I convinced myself on some of the things it was the ingredients in what I was drinking. Well, of course, it was alcohol. And So those are the things that went through my mind. And right up until I went to my first AA meeting, that's the way I treated everything. Like, I could beat this. I got a good mind. I can beat it. And of course, I was totally wrong. And when I went to my first meeting, it was a meeting that had a beginners meeting after the break. So everybody there was either coming back or was new. And I'll tell you, I heard just what I wanted to hear. I didn't understand it all, but it seemed to make sense. And the longer I've been in AA, the more I realize, that it did make sense. And my initial goal was to stay non-drinking for 3 days, because I always seem to get the itch to drink after 3 days. Some people say that, well, that's the allergy to alcohol. And when I made it 3 days, I couldn't believe it. I always worked third shift, and I blame my poor sleeping habits on working third shift. Always blaming people, places, and things, and not what I was doing. And that first group that I went to, I really enjoyed going to the meetings. That first one was tough. The second one was tough. Maybe the first 3 months were tough because I couldn't remember people's names. I was so embarrassed. I thought, well, maybe I won't go to the meeting because all I do is say hi, and I don't really. They're saying, "Hi, Joe, how you doing?" And they remembered me. And them are the crazy things that went through. They would have liked me if I never remembered their name. And I just kept going. I kept going. It was a sometimes a speaker meeting. We went out to different groups. And, I liked that. After, I think it was 3 or 6 months of continued sobriety, that they let me go with them. And I liked the camaraderie. It was great. I didn't have a car. And we spoke all over Rhode Island, sometimes into Massachusetts, went a couple of times to Connecticut. And those people there had the same stories, and they had the same advice. So finally, I had to admit to myself that all that stuff that I had done, changing whatever I was drinking, making these lists. I think I may be a bit autistic because I do still make book lists. I make a lot of lists. But it was all to no avail. I had to admit that trying it on my own did not work. And I finally did. And I can remember sitting down on my first anniversary when I got that 1-year chip and just reflecting on my life, on how I had changed. I had a favorite bar called Roy's Tap that I loved to go to. It's an inner city bar, and mostly it was just guys getting away from their family and getting drunk. And I hadn't gone there for a whole year because they said, that's not a good idea to go and try to have a soda in a bar that you've been going to all your life. And some guy said, well, if you keep going to a barber every day, eventually you'll get a haircut. And that stuck. That stuck. So just like the person who express their ideas in the daily reflections, the new sober me is a much better person. than I ever could have been without AA. It just, and you know, I don't wonder about staying sober, but I wonder how it worked. And then I say to myself, well, just be glad that it did. It worked for you. You've got a life. I went on. I had been working in IT at a bank, and just a month. I stopped drinking a month before the banks merged, and my position was eliminated. And the way I would do things is, if I had time off for injury, or they had to close down, I'd spend that time drinking. But when I got laid off and I had the unemployment checks coming in, I didn't do that. I put it in the bank. I lived on less. I enjoyed myself more. I was reading. I found a science fiction group. I love science fiction. So I did that on Thursday nights, science fiction meeting. And I just found another way to live without alcohol and without judging people, and actually enjoying talking to people. I know I've gone on and rattled on, but this was important for me, because the way I drank, I wrote a little note here. When I would be going drinking and I knew that I had a ride, I'd start drinking about 8 hours before I went out, and then wonder why I blacked out again when I got there. Because I figured I wouldn't drink so much when I was at the bar, and I wouldn't black out, but of course I did. Going around in a circle and not realizing it. But I have the better life, and that's the important thing. So thanks for listening. If you like it, hit like. You can always join. It doesn't cost you anything. If I get to a certain point, they give me some video editing options. So that would be nice to have. I'm doing this on a shoestring budget. I'm not asking people for money or anything. I'm doing it on my tablet. So have a good day.